Welcome to Section 3, which is the application of your learning and the last portion of your coursework. It would be wonderful if we could provide a simple set of step-by-step instructions that would allow you to create the conditions that were best for student outcomes for all of your students. Even if it was a complicated set of instructions, such as those used by the highly trained, intelligent people who sent rockets to the moon. People were able to follow that set of complicated instructions to repeat the process successfully many times. In education, our work is highly complex. Students come to us with a variety of strengths, struggles, backgrounds, and interest levels. Supports that work for some students will differ from those that work for others. For that reason, teachers who can layer and tweak highly qualified strategies often find more success and comfort in working with struggling students. So, where do you start? Start with the students who require support, either through 504 accommodations or through an ARD committee decision. If you have many, choose the 2 or 3 students with whom you are most struggling, or that they are the most struggling. They will stand out. For most students who have gone through the special education referral process, review the student's FIE. If the student was tested for a specific learning disability, this report should include cognitive areas with descriptors of the student's performance. Keep in mind, terminology may differ based on the evaluation model used. If you need assistance interpreting these reports, please consult your campus evaluation staff. Review the students' accommodation forms. There are 4 types of accommodations. An accommodation in presentation might include alternatives to printed text, such as an audio textbook from Learning Alley or a screencast of a mini lesson. An accommodation in response might allow alternatives to a written assignment, such as allowing speech-to-text tools from Google or Text Help Read and Write. An accommodation in setting might allow students to take a test in a separate room with fewer distractions or offer alternative seating to allow for movement. An accommodation in timing and scheduling might allow extra wait time for a student to process information before having him share with the group, or scheduling a physical education class in the middle of the day to allow the student a break. Use the information you learned from the See Me, Know Me, Be Me online course to complete a strategies planning tool specific to the student. You may recognize this as the guided notes or pencil sheet from your learning journey. The difference is that these strategies planning tool is completed for the specific student for his or her strengths and weaknesses. For each weakness, list the academic difficulties, instructional considerations, and strategies. Don't discount these students' strengths. Think about how you could leverage a student's strength to increase their ability and their weakness. See what you can find out about the student. What are the results of the state or local assessments? Which skills have been mastered? In what areas is the student continuing to struggle? Have a conversation with the student and or the student's parents. What subject is the student most interested in? What were their favorite teachers? And what helps them as a learner? Then start with the biggest chunks of your curriculum. Are the biggest chunks the most challenging for students? Do all students struggle or just a few? Are they challenging for you to teach? Where do you need support? And thinking about those specific students you have in mind and the biggest chunks, what do you see bubbling to the top? Do you find any support strategies that might work for that kid? What initiatives are you currently focused on in your district that might make a difference? Then take one of the learning paths to help you think about how to layer supports for several students. Determine what that might look like and feel like in your lessons. The next page will provide an overview of the 22 high leverage practices for special educators, which are organized around 4 aspects of practice: collaboration, assessment, social emotional behavior, and instruction. The selected practices are frequently used in classrooms and have been shown to improve student outcomes if successfully implemented. This is the playbook that describes the foundational practices needed for an effective and successful career, creating success stories for students with the most complex learning and behavior needs. After the overview of the high leverage practices, you will select a learning path. Just like students, adults have different preferences for learning. The next few slides will give you descriptions of the different learning paths. The one that's highlighted in yellow at the top, the HLP learning path, will take you to the video series on the High Leverage Practices website. The videos offer a practical real-world illustrations that are captured in settings that resonate with diverse contexts, subject areas, grade levels, and student needs. The practices showcased are from the instructional aspect, although feedback also appears in the social emotional behavior aspect. If you or your student need to focus on collaboration assessment or the social emotional behavior aspect, or one of the instructional practices not showcased in the HLP video series, the Iris Center Learning Path will provide a collection of modules or case studies to guide your classroom implementation. If you prefer to focus on adapting a component of your lesson design and prefer a self-study reflective model, the Digital Promise micro-credentialing learning path will take you to accommodations courses organized around presentation, response, setting, timing, and schedule. Building RTI capacity. Meadow Center for Preventing Educational Risk, based at the College of Education at the University of Texas, has developed resources specifically for teachers and students. If you provide literacy instruction, are a secondary teacher implementing small groups in your classrooms, are an administrator or evaluation personnel, these modules might be best to meet your needs. If you're on a campus with a technology initiative or where students have one-to-one devices, you may prefer to focus on leveraging the power of digital tools. This section will offer informal examples on how to support students that can be layered over a digital classroom space or through the use of screencasting. After the overview and activity of the high leverage practices and walking through your learning path, you will complete your application of learning plan to increase outcomes for students with disabilities.